Ever since the Helldivers 2 and Killzone collaboration that recently came out, I've been sitting here pondering on the perfect collaboration idea for Helldivers 2, and I think I finally found it. I've spent a couple days just marinating on this idea, and I finally come to a conclusion that I think that this would be pretty good. This might be one of my more thought out videos in more recent times, so smash that like button and let's get started. So about 2 months ago, Super Earth Salute posted on his YouTube channel this video talking about a fourth faction or a hidden fourth faction in Helldivers. He touched base on the Chaos Divers and the various sub-factions of Helldivers that have existed within the Helldivers lore. I think it's a pretty great idea to bring a fourth faction into the game because there's obviously plenty of space on the galactic map for it. I don't want the Helldivers community or me to come off as like maybe too greedy under the idea of having a fourth faction since we just got the Illuminate back. If anything, I believe that the Illuminate returning showcases that it is very possible to add new factions into the game. The Illuminate returning quite literally is showcasing that this is a possible thing, that they are capable of doing this. I believe that in a gaming industry that is so abhorrently flooded with Fortnite level collaborations like Skibbity Toilet, I think it's really good that in that industry we have a studio like Arrowhead Studios where these developers care a lot about their game, where they don't want to have collaborations that don't really fit or make sense with their product, with their IP. So I believe that my choice for what I believe to be the best fit for a collaboration that could also be the fourth and newest faction in the game that I just believe would be so perfectly added in there is so well in line with what Helldivers and what they're kind of thematically looking like. If you haven't guessed what it is yet, it's Killing Floor. I love the Killing Floor IP. I think that the first Killing Floor game and Killing Floor 2 was really fun. I've even played those games quite a little bit on my channel, and there's a few things that I would like to say about them that I think really made sense and actually would fit very well.
Oh my god. He's already dead. You're already dead.
Well, first things first, I want to acknowledge that Killing Floor 3 is coming out, and I think that this is going to be freaking amazing. Just briefly sticking our toes into the Killing Floor lore, it's effectively like a company in London is doing biotechnology and experimentation on like cloning. So they're trying to make clones, and effectively the leader of the organization is becoming kind of a little bit loopy. He's turning into a crazy person, and he starts calling the clones his children. He believes that it's his family, and he starts trying to attack people and invade the world. And the clones are effectively like it's like Resident Evil in a weird way. It's like they're cybernetic zombies, but it's cloning technology. So there's an army of biotech clones. Oh, is this fucking Killing Floor? I have even had the pleasure of playing the Rainy Death Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies map on my YouTube channel, and it was absolutely phenomenal. The graphics and everything were just amazing. We had weapons from Killing Floor. It was a Killing Floor interface. It was just a very good map from the workshop here. Of course, it's not perfect. There was some bugs on it. But overall, it was really nice to feel like I was playing Killing Floor in Call of Duty Black Ops 3. It's a really interesting game. There's a few things in the game that I think that would actually really work well with Helldivers. And one of those things is the store. So if you're unfamiliar with the game, this picture is from Killing Floor 2. It's effectively a like pod that it's a store where you get to buy weapons, where you spend your money that you get when you play the game and you can upgrade your weapons in order to further fight the Zeds. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That looks like a goddamn hell pod. That looks like some kind of hell pod to me. Maybe we could have some kind of stratagem where you can change your primary and secondary if you want to whatever you want, like a new shotgun or a sniper or a like a marksman rifle or something. You throw it down, it drops the pod, and then you can change your primary and secondary, which is something I believe you can only do before you dive, right? Like before you go to a planet and hell dive. The only stratagems that bring different weapons are stratagems that aren't really, like, they don't carry normal primary and secondary weapons. Your primary and secondary is something that you choose before the game starts. So maybe this could be like some kind of thing that they incorporate into the game. Another thing that I want to point out is that flesh pounds are looking a little bit different in Killing Floor 3 than they were in Killing Floor 2 and 1. They are awesome. I think flesh pounds, there's a lot of really unique enemies in the game. There's enemies that do go invisible that might be a little bit in tune with stalkers. There's like sirens that have like sound attacks, and there's a good variety of enemies in the game, and I really think that it would work very well. I really recommend playing Killing Floor 1 and 2 if you haven't. I really think it is a really fun and interesting game. I think that the IP fits fairly well with like Helldivers thematically, where it's just kind of like a good shooter game, and it isn't like too corny. I think some of the voice lines are definitely corny. So in the potential event of future Helldivers collaborations with different IPs, I think, yeah, there would be some challenges to overcome with creating an entirely new entity in the game or a new faction in the game for us to fight. But I think that it would be pretty worth it and pretty interesting as long as it actually is within Arrowhead's ideology of like what they believe should be in their game and what kind of thematically fits with Helldivers. I personally do think that Killing Floor is that IP that does kind of fit, but to other people's discretion, I understand that it could be a little bit more wacky or maybe just a little bit out of pocket at times. I think a fourth faction in the game has been something that people have been wanting for some time. I think they're pretty interested in the idea of having a new faction in the game. Of course, it could be completely overwhelming as there are a lot of things to do with what we have already with automatons, terminids, and the Illuminate. Obviously, we wouldn't want to really overwhelm the fan base and the players in general, but I mean, if you really think about it, we've been pretty overwhelmed from the start. There have been times all the way from Malevolent Creek and just a wide variety of times where we have had an overwhelming abundance of enemies to fight in Helldivers. So I don't particularly believe that a new faction would actually overstimulate the player base. I really don't think that it would be that bad. Hold on. I think it would be relatively just interesting and fun. It could even just be a more temporary thing. It doesn't have to be something that's like enormously like a part of the game. I just believe with the two things that have recently happened with the Killzone collaboration and the Illuminate returning as a new entity to fight in the game, that these two things showcase primarily why it's entirely possible to do a collaboration that is somewhat bigger and has more substance to it and more meat on its bones. Overall, I would really love to see this. I think this would be one of the coolest things, if not the coolest thing for me, because I think it would be really fun. You could have new armor, you can have new weapons, you can have new enemies, you could add a lot. You could have new stratagems. I think that this would be a really interesting collab. I really think Arrowhead would really have a fun time with this. I hope that this does kind of pop off because it'd be really cool. You know what else would be really cool? Liking and subbing for more, because maybe you enjoyed this video. If you didn't, I apologize, but I love you anyway. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one.
Even if I have to come back tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day,
and the next day, and the next day. Goodbye. Before I go, I want to talk about a really strange audio issue that I've been having that doesn't really make any sense. For some reason, even though I have it to where the devices cannot be exclusively taken control over by like certain software, I also have my automatic gain control turned off. But for like actual some reason, Helldivers 2 takes control of my audio volume and just puts it at 62% and just keeps it there. I've looked in like my graphics driver like settings. I've looked in like literally everything possible. I went into the game files, an open notepad, and read through the game files in the config files. I cannot fucking understand it. It really is just a really puzzling thing, and I've reached out to Arrowhead about it, and I'm just kind of waiting for like a response back. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.
Complete.